Hey crafty friends, Emily with you today, and I'm excited to share you 3 different ways to use your stamps to make 3 different backgrounds. I have some watercolor cardstock here in white, ivory, and gray, and I'm going to start with some white, and I'm just going to be using this butterfly stamp set that I have in my stash, but I do have a link for it below for you if you'd like to pick one up yourself. So I'm just kind of placing these wherever. I don't really care about the placement of them. I'm starting out with some Catherine Pooler ink, the color Lilac. And as I said before, I am stamping this on some watercolor paper, and it helps to have my Stampendable tool here, which I've also linked below. And this is just these Misty stamping mat. And I decided I'm going to keep the butterflies in the same place and stamp over it with some clay mask here, which is a nice kind of peachy color. And so I'm just going over with the same, on some of the same butterflies, and some of them are different ones that I didn't stamp with the lilac yet. And so now I decided I'm going to move some around and add some different colors. So these backgrounds are meant to be pretty mixed media and abstract. I'm not really concerned about perfect stamping or perfect placement. I kind of want a little bit of overlap and just a little bit of not mess, but just a little bit of that kind of character, I guess you could say. So now I'm adding a little bit of the color matcha, which is like a perfect green, reminds me of like green tea, like matcha tea. And so I'm just stamping this a couple times to get the colors I want. You can see the blending of some of the purples and the clay mask color and even that green. And so now I'm again adding a couple more butterflies, not caring again if I get a little bit of excess ink at the top there. It's just kind of going to add to the aesthetic. So I'm really liking the way this background alone is turning out. So I'm going to add a couple more here with a little bit of purple to add, just a little bit more purple since I kind of covered it up with that clay mask color. And this looks really cool. So I kind of like this as is. I think this looks super neat, but let's add a little bit more to it. So I have this Distress Mica spray, and I'm just going to dab a little bit on the side here. I have this bright green, and I also have this purple. And if you were to spray this on the paper directly, it would be pretty bright. So what I'm doing is adding some water and then just tapping it with some paintbrush to get just a nice splatter on there without it being too overwhelming. So now I'm just dipping it in the excess green that I have, and I thought that looked really pretty, and I'm just going to kind of watercolor on the rest of it. There's a lot of different ways you can use these distress sprays, but here is that, and I just love the way that background turned out. So now I'm going to move on to my next one, and I'm going to kind of do the same thing where I'm stamping on these butterflies. So this one I decided I wanted to just do the butterflies on the left side of my cardstock mainly, so I could leave a little bit of space there in the top right hand corner. So this one I'm actually going to be using some Versamark. I'm going to be embossing this paper with some white, and then I'm going to do like a reverse effect. So emboss resist is what it's called. And so I noticed that on the top left hand side here, the butterflies got a little bit black, and that's okay. I'm not too worried about it. I would say just make sure you clean your stamps completely. I think I just didn't clean them enough from when I just did that stamping. But again, since I'm not too worried about the it being perfect, I'm trying to not, be too perfect about it. I think that's fine. We'll cover it up. So you can see it a little bit with the black, but it mainly you can't really see the butterflies here. So now I'm spraying that distress spray, and then I'm spraying it with water. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh no, are the butterflies even going to show up? So here I have even more distress mica. And then I decide, okay, I'm going to take my paper towel and lift up. And wow, look at that. Look at those butterflies. I thought this turned out so cool. This one was almost my favorite because I don't do this quite often with the Emboss Resist, but every time I do, I'm always so amazed. So I would just make sure your stamps are nice and clean for that one, but otherwise I still feel like it turned out really good. And now I'm just using a little bit of white paint splatter on my Spectrum Noir pen that I love. And that one turned out really cool. So now I'm going to use a gray sheet of the watercolor paper. And for this one, I am actually going to stamp in black, so I wasn't too concerned about washing off my stamps. I knew it was going to leave a little bit of darker residue on there, but I was like, that's fine. I'm going to use some Midnight here from Catherine Pooler. The Midnight ink pad can stain your stamps, but don't worry about it. It's not going to leave the residue like you're seeing on mine. That's more just from me not cleaning it. So don't worry if it stains your stamps with the Midnight. It's not going to leave residue on there. It's just going to kind of keep it black a little bit. So look at how pretty this looks. So this black with the gray, I felt like looked really cool. And it actually kind of gave me a little bit of like Halloween vibes. Like if you wanted to make a really pretty Halloween card, you know, like this would be a really fun background on its own, just like the black and gray. So here I'm just stamping my entire background with all the butterflies like I did with the first one that I did. And so just kind of going through and making sure I have the same amount of black on all the butterflies. And that's what's great about the Misty platform, is that you can kind of keep restamping. So this looks really cool as is. You could definitely keep it. I decided I'm going to use some color sparks. I really love our color sparks. I'm going to add some powder, and you only need a little bit. Whoop, that was a lot. Oh, and that was a lot too. So I'm just going to dab it, and it's still going to stay on there. It's going to look great. And then I'm going to do a little bit up in this top right hand corner here. And then I am going to grab my spray bottle and spray, and I'm only doing a really light spray. I don't want my inks to bleed at all from the stamping. So, and then I sprayed with a little bit more of that mica, which I love, which adds a little bit of shimmer. So let's check out our 3 backgrounds. This is our first one where we did the stamping with the 3 different colors, and look at how cool and abstract this is. I just love that, the green with the purple and the mica spray, and you could tell the difference between dabbing that spray and then spraying it at the end here. So here on this background we used Clay Mask, Matcha, and Lilac, and I think those colors really go beautifully together. And then we used that Distressed Mica spray, and we also used that green Distressed Mica spray, and I did that with more of like a watercolor technique and a splatter. Doesn't that look pretty? I just feel like this is such a great, that green accents on the corner, and it'd be such a nice background for a card. So that's our first background we made with stamping, with just pretty much with just our inks. And then here is our second one. So this one, I really love the way this one turned out. You can see the resistance of the embossing powder, and there did get a little black up there, but you could always cover it with something if you didn't like that. But typically the emboss resist will work with just your white and won't have any black on there from the stamp. So we used the white embossing powder with the Versamark and did that on the left side, and we used that Distressed Mica spray by spraying it, so you could tell the difference between this one and our first one where we just tapped it on. And then of course that mica, which adds that really pretty bronze shimmer, and then a little bit of paint splatter. I think this one's so pretty. And then you could definitely put a sentiment. So my idea was to kind of put a sentiment up here in the corner. How pretty. And you really don't need to add much more to that because it's just such a beautiful background. So that's what's nice about making kind of mixed media abstract backgrounds like this. And then our third one is this beautiful blue. Look at how pretty this turned out, and the pretty black butterflies with that. You can see the different colors coming through because of the color sparks. So this is, this turquoise comes in a pack of 3, but in the turquoise, and then we also did use the mica spray again on this one to add that shimmer. But you'll see with the turquoise, you're going to see pops of yellow right there, and even pops of green throughout your card base when you use this. It's not just the turquoise. That's what I love about our color sparks. And I do have a full process video on color sparks if that's something you wanted to watch and see how it didn't warp too bad. I actually had it dry out by the window, and I felt like it dried really nicely. So here are our 3 different card panels that we made. These are perfect backgrounds. These are 3 different ways to use your stamps and to add some mixed media to them. And if you love what you see here, make sure to like and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching.